The Nature of Predators, Part 66, by Space Paladin 15. Memory Transcription Subject, Captain Sovlin, Federation Fleet Command. Date, Standardized Human Time, October 24, 2136. The human soldiers detached in their shuttle well before we entered Koshin territory. No doubt the Predators wanted to avoid being picked up by sensor readings. If patrol ships asked us to account for all detected life forms, it would be impossible to hide their presence. Our concerns were validated by the harsh reception we received on descent toward Alpha. Gunships saddled up to us at full speed and relayed demands to power down our engines. "Vanille vessel, you are not welcomed on Federation grounds." The Koshian's chief Nikonis was broadcasting a hail on military frequencies, with a glare that rivaled human ferocity. "I let your beast speak once, and that was an error on my part. The Gojid Cradle, the Krakatul army, and dozens of worlds have perished because of that little misstep." I accepted the transmission, striking my serious pose. "This is Captain Sovlin from the Gojid detachment of the Federation fleet. I am here to request asylum for our refugees." "Do the humans think we're idiots? There's 6 other signatures on board, and you were a known Predator prisoner." Nikonis bobbed his indigo tentacles in irritation. "By law, Vanille visitors should be held as enemies of the state for raising arms against other prey races." I waved for the Harchan reporters to step into the field of view, while Talpin and Berna filtered in on my side. The deaf Gojid wielded a device that could approximate subtitles and was growing livid from the dialogue. He began punching away at his speech synthesizer, but I flicked my claws in warning. If the Koshin Commonwealth realized our Terran sympathizing alignment, there might not be an opportunity to land on Alpha. It was an uphill battle to convince them we were friendlies already. You'd think this roll call would assuage their doubts, but they seem to be expecting Predator trickery. News of the assault on Earth has reached the wider galaxy. They know the Vanille fought by humanity. The tension was palpable, as my scans confirmed that the Koshins kept their weapons powered up. I had no idea if they'd deny us passage, or attack us outright, since nobody had shown any concern for the suffering Gojids. The Federation had abandoned my people thus far. There had been no aid shipments or reinforcements at our borders. Not one friend would go toe-to-toe with either Predator for us. Anger bubbled in my chest, but I pushed it down. "Search us all you want. I rescued these Sergeant personnel from an Oxar attack. We have useful intelligence. You're adding to their trauma also, if you care." "And what are they hiding on your ship then? Bombs? Bioweapons?" the Koshin demanded. I struggled to keep my voice steady. The Vanille were able to secure my release and move some Gojid refugees to their territories. I'll be happy to discuss the details before the Federation representatives, whoever is here, gracious Chief Nikonis. "Let the Harchan speak. I recognize a renowned journalist when I see one, Selene." "I want to know about the Federation's response to this multilateral attack, and your plans to deal with these human predators," the journalist said without hesitation. "Fall is barely holding on, and there's a refugee crisis brewing on your borders. The people want answers. My people want answers. That doesn't give you the right to barge in here without clearance. You're disrupting important proceedings." "This is important too, Chief Nikonis." The Koshian breathed a heavy sigh, brushing a tentacle across his forehead. These ship frequencies were often monitored by various media outlets, and I'd hoped it'd still generate bad publicity if they turned non-Vanille away. Sileni and I felt that Nikonis owed us the truth, even if we entered his territory on false pretenses. A trace of my former bravado flared in my chest. The old Captain Sovlin wouldn't have been turned away from a mission objective by anyone. I plotted in a landing course for the Governance Center, and ignored the target lock icons on screen. We would be through Alpha's silky atmosphere long before Nikonis gave a kill order. Nothing involving bureaucrats happened quickly. "What are you doing, Sovlin? Have you lost your mind?" the Koshin leader hissed. "Fire away. You wouldn't dare." I chuckled, noting the irony. Those were the same words I told Tarva responding to her distress signal, right before the Vanille threw missiles in my face. Shooting down asylum seekers would have the wondrous consequence of raining debris on college students. I will speak my piece, and I don't care if you like it. Nikonis' bulbous eyes stretched wide. "Are you trying to start a war? This is rash and impulsive, unbecoming of a Federation officer." "What have I got to lose? My cradle is dead, and I'm one of the last survivors of a dying species. It's time someone let us Gojid speak for ourselves. We don't even get that courtesy." The Koshin waved a tentacle in a dismissive gesture and forwarded an open hangar location. It was all I could do to slow to a safe landing velocity. Berna and Taubman seemed terrified of my flying. The two of them had found their way back to their harness seats. Our ship dug the spaceport overhang with an inch to spare. FTL traffic control gawked from the observation room as I careened down while firing reverse thrusters. Our massive ship slid into the docking ports like a plug into a socket. Koshin soldiers rushed across the terminal, flooding from the connector tunnel to the governance hall. They bore weapons designed to hamper any human predators that magically popped into existence, including heavy guns and strobe lights. I laughed to myself, appreciating how absurd this reaction was. Perhaps these extermination officer wannabes will try to arrest me. I doubt they like the stunt I pulled. But the humans would think it's hilarious. I noted. Protector, those predators get humor. The Koshins rigged explosive charges by the exit hatch before we can disembark of our own volition. They entered with gun muzzles ready and hollered orders at all of us. My spines bristled at their intimidation, but the fear didn't reach my brain. I struck a board pose as they pressed a rifle to my temple, pushing it away with a light claw tap. Meanwhile, the Harchan reporters and goaded refugees had dropped to the floor in terror. Your hospitality needs some work, I remarked. That's no way to welcome guests. The Koshin soldiers shared a glance, incredulous at my derangement. They swept every corner of our ship, including inside storage cabinets. Amusement flared up once more, as I thought about Carlos folded up like a suitcase to fit in a drawer half his size. Several glares lashed onto me, and I was flung to the floor by a rough tentacle. It took an inordinate amount of time for their thorough search, but our host became satisfied that humans weren't lying in wait. The Commonwealth guards waved to stand up and ushered us out the door. The 8-sided landing pad had an array of stores and offices built into its walls. Flashing signs directed ambassadorial attaches to the governance hall, written in several languages, including the artificially created Common, which was only used by pretentious diplomats. The general public were welcome to the Federation proceedings as spectators, but they weren't cleared to land here. Media personnel hurried out from the connector tunnel just as we cleared the terminal's threshold. They seemed disappointed to find the unannounced arrival was a few Gojids in Harchan. Whatever an outlet's stance on humanity, the Predator's sale mantra was true. Journalists captured footage of us with our Koshin escort, with a few calling Selene and I by name. I avoided eye contact and kept my lips sealed.
Selene, Harchan Ambassador Rayla will welcome you to hear your report on Fall.
A Koshin soldier turned to me, radiating contempt.
She is in crucial talks with undecided Federation members now, so you need to show some patience, Sovlin.
I kept a placid expression, though I knew our neutral faction could not turn on humanity. Of course, we'll wait outside until she's ready. Would you show us there, please? The Koshin beckoned with a cerulean tentacle, staring us through winding corridors. Our journey ventured away from the massive auditorium where state business was conducted. Architects on Alpha seemed to derive joy from constructing floor plans that looked like mazes. It was a wonder we didn't get lost. Perhaps a simpleton like me couldn't understand beauty, but I wish the humans would cut the whole place. Terran layouts were always neat and orderly. We reached an escalator that transported us to a basement. A subway train waited for us, and whisked us below the street to the ambassadorial offices. I didn't understand why the diplomatic living arrangements were in the hall's premises, while the workspaces were separate. I suppose this was the only way to provide every species with spacious accommodations. The Koshin soldiers steered us into a lobby once we arrived at the station. An elevator ride to the 12th floor was the last step of our journey, and I yawned to express annoyance. Judging by the iconography of Inatala with flowers in her beak, this must be the Krekdal's home. Closed doors sealed off a conference room, which I yearned to break into. This is my chance to speak to the Federation, the ones that can still turn back. I have to impress the need to appease humanity. I sprinted toward the meeting area, catching the Koshins by surprise. A soldier placed a tentacle on my shoulder, and my spines extended further. In a flash of outrage, my claws scratched gashes into his soft skin. Selene gasped at my violent assault, but I had no intention of waiting. This was too important to let some grunt stand in our way. The Koshins drew their guns, no doubt worried that the human predators had corrupted me. The Harchan reporter leapt in their path and waved her arms to compensate for her short stature. I burst into the assembly. Dozens of pupils darted in my direction. Ambassador Jerulium squawked angrily. What on Nishtal is this interruption? From the man who pushed the bleeding hearts into the human's arms. Because poor Marcel.
What Captain Sovlin did to that human was wholly cruel and unnecessary. whatever side of the aisle you're on," Chief Nikonis returned.
"It's a predator, just like Noah was. You traitors use our names, which is validating the whole premise of personhood. What's next? An Oxford speaker named Huggable?" A female Mazak flared her trunk. Noah is obviously a monster. Even he realized that. But his arguments were sound. We don't have the luxury of trusting our gut. Fret not, Jerulium. Everyone recognizes the image of evil when it's right in front of them. Do they? That's why you're the only allied race that came to this meeting? Farshal Ambassador Dark tossed her floppy ears. They won't meet with you because you physically attacked anyone who sided with humanity last time. I've apologized for that. I'm willing to talk to everyone now, though you don't deserve it. What I did was the only sensible reaction to heresy. A clamor of voices rose in disharmony, leveling accusations and shouting conflicting views. I was horrified that these were our leaders. They had the emotional maturity of misbehaving children. The good news was that I didn't need to fake diplomatic aplomb. If talking the loudest was the only way to get through to them, that was right up my alley. I am speaking now! My roar shook my vocal cords as I leapt onto the table to draw attention. Jerulium, I think your army is gone, so you have nothing to throw your weight around with. That's why you're talking. The Krakatoa ambassador craned his neck in irritation. You have no right. Protector, you make more senseless noise than a stampede. The undecided voters here, most notably the Sulian and Iftali alliance, are likely leaning toward war with the humans. This is all based on the Kratos fall, but nobody here was actually there but me. Are the Gojans nothing more than a talking point to you without our own voice? We served this federation for 6 centuries. Chief Nikonis cleared his throat. The Federation respects the contributions of the Gojidi Union, who worked tirelessly in our defense throughout this war. The Koshan Commonwealth was saddened by the tragedy that befell your people. That said, we already got the details from Dr. Zarn of the Tekken Coalition. Your doctor. Zarn, he said that all humans deserve to die from the moment we laid eyes on Marcel. Much like the Krakatoa ambassador with this Noah. What you need to know is that Prime Minister Piri and I saw empirical and irrefutable evidence that flipped our stance. My question is, does anyone care what really happened? Of course we care. Go ahead, Captain. The Sulian observer interjected. The simple fact is, the humans never attacked a single civilian or even medical target. We were gearing up for an attack on Earth, so they took out our military capabilities to stop us. The Oxar took advantage of the lapse in fortification and started bombing everything in sight. Terran military personnel risked their lives to evac our people. Jerulian puffed out his chest. The Predators were just collecting their own cattle. It didn't surprise me that the Federation assumed our refugees were livestock, but that was why Talpin was here. The Koshan soldiers stood steadfast at the door, forming an organic wall between my posse and the diplomats. Hearing the Krakatoa's claim, Berna barreled over a guard with a headbutt. Her brother was close behind. Sileni slipped through the dazed soldiers, though the other Hutchin journalists weren't as quick to act. Talpin is deaf, and he can attest that the humans treat him with dignity. One of my guards had a deaf brother too. They don't discard their own like the Oxer, I retorted. I thought I was going to suffer in Terran custody, but my victim claimed that wasn't who he was. The UN gave me a second chance. The Hutchin ambassador Rayla turned to Sileni. Enough Predator apologetics. Was Fall holding? The reporter wiggled her toes. Yes, but the Oxer claimed the raid was retribution for Earth. The humans seem to have them under some level of control. That can either be really good or really bad. They're working together, officially, Jerulium shrieked. I told you! I shook my head. The Oxer aligned to the humans to gain their alliance because they recognized their potential. I was on the bridge of a Terran warship when they returned and took back the cradle. They won against an enemy we can't hold a candle to, with 3 months of FTL experience and primitive ships. They boarded a kettle ship so methodically that the Greys surrendered. Disbelieving expressions swept across the room at the thought of those raging monsters giving up mid-fight. Even Sileni had difficulty absorbing that tidbit. While it was common knowledge that Gojid territory had fallen to Predators, the situation was more complex than that. That battle was the moment I recognized how well humanity could harness their instincts. They had better control on their neutral wiring than any of us. Sileni blinked. Is that why the Greys decided to honor humanity's claim to Gojids?
Respect? I don't know or care what goes through the minds of those savages. I care about the empathetic primates who eat fruit and have protective instincts. My Federation friends, don't you understand the importance of a peace in humanity? You're forcing a species much smarter and more technical into the Grey's arms. Chief Nokonis leaned back. Appeasement was always my plan, and people like Drolium thought they knew better. Have the two predators wear each other down, then it will be much easier to clean up the survivors. If they want to duke it out, why make them turn their guns on us? My jaw almost dropped to the floor. Using the humans to destroy the Orkster, then mopping up their remnants, was the cold, calculated idea I'd expect from a predator. The United Nations deserved to be shown genuine kindness. It was all I could do to keep my mouth shut. After cooperating through an alliance, these people would get attached to the Terrans eventually. There would be time to give the primates a proper warning if they didn't see through the facade from the start. This might be the only way to save the Federation. I want humanity to survive, but I can't feed every race in the galaxy to the Greys to achieve that. The humans want to know where every race stands. That was their message, I said. Make your decision and contact the United Nations. Well, those of you that haven't already fucked your species over. Rayla wiggled her toes in discomfort. We joined the attack on Earth, and I can't say I regret that. I regret that it failed. Sidleni glared at the Harchan ambassador. You should be ashamed of yourself. Surrender unconditionally and beg their forgiveness. We can't hold out if the Greys send reinforcements. Once they finish up with defenseless Nishtal. This is a wake-up call, I growled. Nobody who openly opposed the humans has survived, assuming the 24 attackers fall to the Orkster. All that matters is that we survive. But it's your choice. Go with our last chance at survival, or push the predators into the Grey's arms. Agreement glittered in the eyes of the Kushan chief, and a contemplative silence swept through the room. I hoped my argument was more compelling than the humans' vengeful demands. My trust in the Federation's decision-making was gone where predators were involved. After decades of faithful service, this plea was a final effort to save the species I pledged to defend.